Hey, so you're an experienced singer. You've been taking lessons for years. You've been practicing consistently. You are dedicated to this stuff. You are not lazy. But you still notice that your voice is inconsistent and not showing up the way you wanted it to in your gigs and performances, where you sound one way during practice, but you croak up and mess up during the actual performance on stage or when you're walking into that studio. Hey, my name's Isaiah Harris. I'm a vocal coach, and my average student starts singing higher in just as little as 2 weeks and adds nearly a full octave to their range, pain, strain, and tension-free in just as little as 2 months. And in today's video, I'm going to show you a truly advanced vocal warm-up routine for truly experienced singers. It's not your basic beginner level stuff, but a truly advanced technique that's going to help you to break past those vocal plateaus and build the singing career that you've always wanted. Okay, let's get down to business. So first, I really want to explain the reason why an experienced singer like yourself is frustrated and not getting consistency. And then we'll go into the exact routine to really make sure that you are getting the most out of your voice. So the reason experienced singers tend to get a plateau is because their training has really gotten to a point to where it's no longer pushing the muscles of their voice. Because there's a lot of fitness principles that correlate with singing principles. Like literally anything you can think of that applies with fitness, working out in the gym, you can just copy and paste that same principle right into singing. And really, when someone that has the chops, has that experience, and they're not seeing the results that they want anymore after a point, it's the singer's equivalent of how when you're in the gym, you always want to max yourself out and you always want to be further stretching and pushing your muscles. Like I have a buddy of mine that he's like totally stacked, totally yoked. And I remember like I was, chilling with him at the gym, and I noticed that every single week I would see him do a slightly different type of workout routine, but for the same body part. Like he'd do a different routine one week to do his arms, and then the next week he'd do a totally different routine to work out that same thing in his arms. Or his leg days, like they would alternate from week to week to week. And I asked him, I told him, well, yeah, the reason why is because the muscles in the body, they get used to a certain amount of pressure and a certain amount of resistance, and you need to kind of change that up from time to time to really make the muscles start to grow. And really, with your singing, it's whatever techniques that you've been doing, you've reached your vocal max with them, and things have not been changed up enough to really make sure that you're getting that continued level of growth. And for the singer, the absolute best and most effective way to make sure that you are constantly changing your voice and giving it the type of structure and training it needs as you're getting more and more advanced is by doing what is known as vowel modification. So vowel modification is something, to be very honest, is something that very few coaches teach, and those that do teach it, they teach it in a very basic way. Or when someone actually does teach it and they teach it in a truly in-depth way, they teach it in an extremely overwhelming way that just makes the singer have to focus on way too many things and just get so freaking stuck in their head. I remember there's one vocal coach that I had met at a conference, and I remember I was talking to her and she was telling me how there's this 120-page long book that she absolutely adores, that she has her and all her students read, to where it shows you all these different ways to modify various different vowels when you're singing. And each page is its own unique different way of all these 120 plus different ways. And she would talk about how like she would work with students and they would take the time to memorize each and every single one of the structures and forms on the page. And hey, I don't know about you, but I do not have all day long to memorize 120 different ways to do something. And if you've ever been in a vocal coaching session and you'll sing something and the coach tells you, oh, no, you need to pronounce it this way, or you need to pronounce it that particular way, your coach was probably teaching you vowel modification, but they were teaching it to you likely in a very mechanical way, to where essentially you have to just memorize every single bit and every single piece of all the vowels that you're trying to sing. Another really good way to think about this is, if anyone here has ever seen the TV show Hey Arnold, it was one of my favorite shows growing up as a kid, where, it's just about this kid named Arnold who he's just a really helpful, really bright kid that, helps out his neighbors in every single different episode with some little problem that they're having. And there's one particular episode where he's helping out this Russian immigrant neighbor of his. And this particular character is known for being extremely lazy and always looking for different shortcuts. And he's like, oh yeah, hey, I'll help you with learning how to read. He's like, oh really, Arnold, that'd be so great. Like, it's gonna really help out my job prospects so I can, get the better job here. And so Arnold sits down with him, shows him all the basics of reading, and he gives him a book. And he's like, hey, take this, study this for a few weeks, and, let's see in a couple weeks what happens when you try to read the book. And so the guy comes back at him, and he reads the first page of the book absolutely flawlessly. But Arnold took a look at him, and he's like, yeah, you read that word for word perfectly, but it sounded kind of robotic and it sounded kind of mechanical. Here, try reading the second page. And then the dude pauses and he's like, Arnold, I got to be honest with you. What I did is I had my wife read out to me every single word on the first page and I just memorized it. And as you can, tell, Arnold probably was very, very frustrated with his neighbor there after that. And really, that's the mindset that a lot of coaches, even advanced coaches, will approach singing, to where they treat it as, oh, let's learn all these different vowels and phrases to sing from a place of, oh, we need to memorize all these different phrases in all these different ways. Because let me ask you, if this same character from Hey Arnold was auditioning for a movie, you think he's going to land the leading role? No, it's not because you memorize a script that you get the leading role in a movie. It's your execution of the script. It's your way of how you articulate every single word. And you have a basic instinct of what character you're trying to bring out in that script. And what I'm going to teach you here with vowel modification is how to bring out the unique instinct and the unique character of you into every single song that you are trying to sing. All right, so let's get into the depths of vowel modification here for you advanced singers. So what we are going to do to properly modify the vowels is we need to work on what is known as the circle of vowels. I'm sure you've heard of circle of fifths, but this is in a way kind of similar, but essentially for the singer, this is circle of vowels. And it's essentially all the different ways of how your body connects every single vowel one to another. And the way to think about this is, so the way your voice works is it's kind of like a rubber band where you're stretching like, oh, to all those different ranges of notes. But you'll notice here with this rubber band, as it's stretching, the shape of it changes. It starts out with a nice little circle, but then it gets narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower. And the shape is dynamically changing the wider I stretch it. And the thing, as you're getting and approaching different parts of your voice for different songs you're singing in different genres, there's a different way that you need to uniquely shape every single vowel. And another big issue and gripe that I have with a lot of modern vocal training is they really try to put a square peg in a round hole and tell you, oh no, you need to always have an open mouth, open throat to where you sing every vowel. And that works if you're doing just classical music, but if you're doing pop music, you know what I'm trying to go like, and always are you. Like it sounds weird. It sounds mechanical, like we're memorizing words instead of knowing what the words mean and articulating them the right way, versus The right way would be going, and I will always love you. You see there? I shaped and got a more narrower type of shape with my vowel as I was doing this, okay? So basically, the circle of vowels is we're going to, on a simple little octave slide, go through this full range spectrum of all of these different types of vowel sounds to naturally and instinctively train our voices to pick up all the different ways of how we need to shape dynamically the movement of this rubber band so that we can sing the songs we want to sing the way that we want to sing them. What we're simply going to do is we're going to go find a nice little octave that we're going to slide on here. And you're going to do it right in what you feel is the middle of your range, right where you're starting to see that break in that bridge from your chest voice all the way into your head voice. And it doesn't need to be exact spot on, but wherever it is that you feel that center point of your range is going to be. And what we're going to do is we're on a slide. We're going to start out by making the sound E as in beat, I as in igloo, and then transition to E like everything, and then transition to A like apple, and then transition into an A like awful, and then like umbrella, and then O like open, and then all like ounce, and then oo like boot. Okay? So I'll show you an example here so that you guys can see. And also, one other real quick thing is as we're doing this, we're starting the first 1 or 2 seconds of this slide with a nice little a nice little vibrant hum to then launch into the circle of vowels. Okay? So it's going to look like on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And you see, I did that on that nice octave slide, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until I was totally and completely out of air. And also, you'll notice with this, you notice how you couldn't really quite tell where one vowel shape ended and the next one began. Like you couldn't really quite tell where I was fully stopped being an E like beat to the I like igloo, or you couldn't really tell where I like igloo began and like everything ended. It was super subtle. Think of it kind of like you're a thief in the night and you're trying to steal from everybody in the neighborhood. You want to be so subtle and go undetected where it's almost unnoticeable. Before you know it, oh, we're already right onto the rest of those vowel sounds. Okay, so let's try this here again. All in one smooth slide, doing this until we are out of breath, and also no breaths in between. If you're taking a breath in between, you're doing the exercise wrong. We're doing this until we are completely, totally, and exhausted out of breath. Okay? 1, 2, 3, go. Man, okay, a few things I want to point out about there. You see, I pushed myself to be so out of breath that It's even taken me some time to even be able to talk to you because I'm catching my breath. Like this is not we're like, oh, okay, I'm out of breath comfortably. It's oh man, I feel like I'm suffocating almost so I'm out of air. And the reason why that is so important is because back to gym analogies, this is the equivalent of pushing yourself to your max. So they say in the gym, no pain, no gain. Now, don't get me wrong with singing. You should never feel physical pain when you're singing, but the singer's equivalent of the gym's no pain, no gain is you do the exercise until you are completely and totally out of air. Okay? So this vowel modification concept, it is very, very, very effective, especially when you really, really push this until you're out of air. In fact, this is what it did for just a handful of my students.
And overall, like, how would you say what you've seen with me compares to what you're getting from your old coach?
It's kind of like you've got the secret in a way. And this is what came across through your YouTube channel as well. Like that golden spot training, how that's like the domino that fixes a lot of problems. Because I feel like other teachers I've seen, even with our music director, with our choir, it's doing the lip trills and the scale practice, but not till you're out of breath like you do. And how you said that's like building your muscles to run out of breath, like how important that is. I just feel like when I see other YouTube videos, it's like I don't even have to do them now because I just do the golden spot, and I just feel like I'm wasting less time. That's what it feels like doing your stuff.
This is much, much better. Like I didn't even go to vocal coaches because, I mean, I knew the basics, and I knew, I grew up with it with my mom kind of thing, even though she didn't want to teach me. But I mean, I knew what they do and what goes on. Like, I'm not doing that, because one, I thought it was a waste of time for me because I didn't think I could do anything with my voice, right? And they're just going to say, well, you just have to go along the way you've been going. So I thought I'm going to give this a try because this is totally different. And it's so much better. I haven't had any issues with my voice, losing it. Even with all my coaching and everything, I have to yell every day. You know what I mean? So
you're not losing your voice at all.
I'm not losing it at all. No.
By the way, if you want to go even deeper on the concepts that I've taught in this video, from vocal stamina and specifically how to really make the most of your voice in older age, be sure to check out my free training in the link in the description called The 3 Biggest Singing Mistakes That Are Getting in the Way of the Songs You Sing, the albums that you attempt to record, and the gigs that you attempt to perform. This has helped out so many singers in the past, and I know it is absolutely going to help you to bust past all of the things that you've been struggling with for so many years. Once again, just click the link in that description or scan the QR code here above to get access to that training immediately. All right, so let's give this a try again here. Once again, remember, we're doing this with the subtlety, like a thief in the night, and doing it until we are totally out of breath. And 1, 2, 3, go. All right. Did that there. We were totally exhausted out of air. And also, you notice too with this, I had the same level of smoothness and consistency on the way up as I did down. Like there weren't any breaks, cracks, strain, or tension that was going on inside of the voice. It was all one smooth motion. Now also too, don't stress yourself out if you mess up with the length of how long you can go, or having breaks or cracks inside of there, like over time, this is naturally just going to get better as long as every single time you're doing it, you are pushing your air to its limits. I've lost count of the amount of students that I've taught this to that they're only able to go like 10 seconds long and they have tons of breaks and cracks as they're doing it. But every single time they did it till they were just exhausted out of breath. And then they'll come back like a week or two later and be like, whoa, Isaiah, my voice sounds unrecognizable. Okay, so we've covered, like I said, the importance of making sure that you are building up this voice, making sure that it is dynamically changing and being pushed the longer and longer it is that you're singing, and making sure that we're modifying these vowels to really match that changing shape for all the different phrases, all the different pitches that we ever would try to sing. So once again, be sure to check the link in the description to get that free training on the 3 biggest career-ending singing mistakes that so many different singers are making and exactly how to avoid them. And also, too, be sure to check out my other video here I have showing you how to absolutely master your belt and master mixing in your belt.